So we're back on the SportsMax Zone. We continue to talk football and remain in Jamaica because professional Football Jamaica Limited CEO Owen Hill says the organisation plans to transfer a minimum of 10 players from this Jamaica Premier League season. Hill says there is an oversupply of quality talent in the league and says his organisation will play a major role in the players' preparation for potential moves. He joins us in the studio to tell us more. Owen, welcome to the SportsMax Zone. Always great having you on the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Being a part of the Ren Neville Jamaica Premier League, which lives on SportsMax. Well, we have seen back-to-back seasons now where Trevante Stewart, then young Dixon, left straight from the Jamaica Premier League into leagues in Europe.
Right.
But that appears not to be enough for the Premier League organizations. You want a lot more.
No, we definitely want a lot more. And again, thank you for having me. It really is it's our duty, I believe. It's our obligation. When we look at the ecosystem, we understand that we're unable to truly keep the talent if we want to, grow the talent. I mean, just earlier we saw where there was a bilateral kind of agreement with CFU and Argentina to train coaches. And the purpose of training coaches is to improve the talent.
Yeah.
So if we're improving talent, we know we're unable to economically manage all these talents. So we're putting ourselves under the gauntlet and say, and I mean, I went out there and said that, we need to be transferring more players. More players need to be leaving our island. And it is our duty to ensure that these guys get that opportunity and the resources necessary in order to transition further.
Yeah, but practically, how do you propose to do that? Because it's easy to say it, but practically, how do you go about achieving that?
Well, I mean, everything is guided by the vision, and the vision then is, broken down into granular parts where we have strategies. So one of the strategies is to promote the players, to get players seeing across the globe. Now, SportsMax does a wonderful job at giving us coverage. Every single time there's a game live or delayed, it is broadcasted across the Caribbean. So that's the first thing. Once we're capturing the games, then we need to package the games and highlight the players to ensure that when we do that, we have a database, a Rolodex of potential scouts and agents and people who we want to push. So we're doing a lot of push sales versus hoping that people will come. Brand Jamaica is Brand Jamaica, we know that. But we want to be a little bit more aggressive in how we market and expose the talent. So it's getting into the faces of a lot of these agents and scouts, giving them specific needs assessment and allowing them to select from a pool. So we're not just looking at one player, we're looking at a cadre of talent across the actual space within the particular skill sets, and then saying we have X amount of these players below that, threshold that you speak of, we're pushing them to you. Tell us which one you like.
Yeah. Part of the development of players is the issue of players recognizing that they are a brand and their personalities and their image will have a lot to do with their scope for professionalism and being targets for the global market. How much work has your organization done with getting it driven into the players' minds that each of them is a brand and how they perform as professionals, not only in their performance on the field, but how they carry themselves.
Every single,
how much is that a part of the growth of what you're talking about?
So it's a central tenet in the overall strategy. We want to ensure that they understand they're walking ambassadors, legitimate brands for themselves, their communities, the countries, the clubs, everything that they, represent. So it's very clear in how we communicate. We generally start with the leadership within the club hierarchy, and we promulgate to the leadership that we want to sell these players, but these are the things that will be allowing these players to become more attractive. And again, the aim for these clubs is to also sell players. So I think it's a kind of quid pro quo. It makes the work a little bit easier, but the truth is we need way more support. We're starting from probably negative in a lot of instances. We've inherited a lot of, challenges with even just personality and appearance and that kind of thing. So the transition becomes slightly harder, but we're up to the task. Yeah. We're saying the possibilities are there, Mariah. Let's go again and push them out there.
Yeah, and as we're on the topic of branding, you and I were a part of a forum where we were talking about branding and how important it is. And now I think back to some of the players that I would see, just coming from let's just say rural communities, happy to play football, but not aware of the responsibility now that comes with their particular persona, their branding and all of them. Sometimes I listen to some of the interviews and I wish I could help them because, you want that when they represent themselves, you get the very best of them. Now they know how to play football, but when they have not been trained to do all of these things that come with it. When they're off the pitch, they probably can't express what happened on the pitch. Have you thought about all of that? Maybe training courses, all of these things, because it's an entire package.
Yeah, we have thought about it. I mean, this is a conversation that we have all the time, guided by the overall philosophy. I keep saying it. Everything we're doing, it's on behalf of the players. So ultimately, having these symposium type sessions, not just one-off, because what we've found is, yes, you do it in one instance and, it is received, but that continuous kind of feedback loop that they need to have that. So the trainer idea is important in this process. So we are giving and empowering the leadership hierarchy of the clubs to consistently be training their own crop of players. We are giving them the resources. So we partner with the JFF, we partner with CONCACAF, we partner with UEFA and FIFA. All these courses available because we want them to represent as best as possible. I mean, it's no different from you studying to become an engineer or a doctor. And, when the time comes, when your interview is ready, you have a proper suit, you're able to answer the questions. In this case, we are saying you should be technically or physically ready, but psychologically, sociologically, emotionally, you should also be ready because it requires this. What we've seen is sport is fast-paced, it's global. So, you can imagine a Jamaican from somewhere in Clarendon gets a transfer somewhere into England at, some southern district. How do you cope? Yeah. We need to have mechanisms in place because yes, we want to get them out, but we are also believing that the support throughout that process is extremely important.
And how does this benefit the JPL, getting players out?
Well, when the JPL has players out in the world, further advanced, then the league itself is better off by its ranking. Okay. So CONCACAF now has a new ranking system. Congratulations, Cavalier, because they helped to boost us in the ranking. We're the number one in the region, Caribbean, a little bit below some Central and, Latin American countries.
As a league.
As a league.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's important when we get players out because the league is automatically improving and people tend to review what is happening. More eyes become aware of what is happening, so you now have an opportunity to sell more players, to earn more revenue, the product grows, and we become that standard bearer of what Caribbean football looks like. Yeah. If you want top talent, if you want athleticism, if you want a kind of maturity, come to Jamaica, we have them.
Yeah, and you spoke about getting in these agents' faces and, but how do you plan to do that? Is there somebody in the JPL that has a relationship, or is there a man now employed to go out there and build these connections? Because what I've learned
That's
being
me.
in this, so is it that, Owen, your duty now is to create these connections? Because what I've learned being in sports is that it's always about who knows you and your relationship with people that pushes you forward.
So it's definitely a part of the scope that I have taken on because, again, I'm looking at the impact and I'm saying, yes, we have grown the league to a particular point. However, we need institutional growth now. So my job, again, nobody has given me this as a KPI. I just went out there and said, put myself under some pressure. I know it's going to be difficult, but I need to have some agent contacts. I need to ensure that we have a Rolodesk of scouts and, trainers and all these people because we have a product that we need to build. And in order to build it, we need to get the right resources, technical resources, and then, you know, put it on the market for sale.
Yeah, and before we wrap, I just want to build on the point that you were just making, because a lot of local players would have seen in the past going to play for teams like Portmore and Harbourview.
Correct.
Would put themselves in
Correct.
a better position for overseas contracts. And in the case of Trinidad and Tobago, like a Joe Public, when Jack Warner was the owner of the club because of his obvious global connections.
Yeah.
So you're trying to move beyond that and sort of put all clubs or all players with an opportunity, whether you play for these high-profile clubs like Portmore and Harbourview, which have a track record of getting players overseas contracts.
Lance, it's formula-driven, it's science-driven. Again, you know, it's not that Portmore have a specific potion that they're over there, you know, mixing and cooking up. No, I mean, they understand the business of football, and we are saying we are learning the business of football even further, and we're giving everybody the formula.
Yes.
However you apply it, obviously it's dependent on your circumstances, the team, etc. But we want you to have the formula. We want you to be able to talk to a scout or an agent and understand the contract process and understand the, you know, how do I get a player on trial and what happens in that situation. And, you know, we don't want to hide any information because, again, we're here to amplify and we're giving them bridges to, you know, a better future.
And build the league.
Definitely.
Yeah, I agree with you, Owen. Well said, and good on your association that you're putting this forward, because it will only serve to improve the quality of the league and the opportunities for the players.
Thank you very much.
I don't know how much work you're going to get done, but all the best.
Break time. We still have a lot more to come on the SportsMax Zone. Back on the other side of the break.